Hi. I've never done this before. um, okay, bear with me. We're waiting. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna introduce you soon to Maggie Baird, and she waiting for her to come in, but I don't know where the button is. Let's see. Is that her? Hey everyone. Thanks for coming, by the way. Hi Oliver. Woohoo! I'm so glad you're all here. Okay, wait. No. Sorry, this is probably so boring to you right now, but my heart's pounding. Um, okay. What's that? Oh, I just saw her. Is that her? Wait. Maggie. I just saw her right there. Where are you, Maggie? There's so many people coming in. I can't figure. Is that her? Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. No, that's not that person. You just clicked somebody wrong. Oops. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. Wait, stop everybody talking to me for a second so I can find Billie. Maggie. There she is. Oh, unable to join. What's happening, Maggie? Okay. Why? I know. I'm going to take it off airplane mode. Maybe I've done that wrong. Did that help? Where are you, Maggie? Maggie. There. But it says unable to. Yeah, there we go. Yay! I did it. Maggie. Hi, greetings from
I
Ecuador.
didn't. Hi.
Hi!
That was so funny. Billy was making fun of both of us the whole time.
Thank you, Billie.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Okay.
nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for talking to me about this.
Yeah, I thought I'd start by introducing everyone to you. This is Maggie Baird. Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah, perfect.
And we met. You want to tell why we're connected?
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who saw that I was doing this project called Support and Feed, and because you're this amazing environmental activist, he said, you guys have to meet. So we talked, and we have so much in common and so much passion for the same thing. So that's how we met.
Yes. And I ran into your daughter, Billie, at an Oscar event on a dance floor and said hello. And I had no idea that she was vegan. My son told me that later.
I love it, your son knew.
He's 8. And so I was so happy to know that. It's so great.
Your son is not only a vegan, your son makes his own avocado toast and puts arugula on it.
Yeah, he put kimchi, arugula, sprouts.
Unbelievable.
He eats tahini sauce, and he's a little chef. He wants to be on Master Junior Chef,
Wow.
but he's really sad because he thinks that he'd have to do meat and he won't do it. So he's like not having it.
Those cooking shows all need a vegan version.
Totally,
They do.
absolutely.
Every time I watch them, I'm like, why don't, and sometimes they do like 1 week vegan. I'm like, just do a whole show. Just do the
That
whole
would show
thing.
their real skill, right? If they
Yeah.
could make the most perfect, delicious salad, like everything. I would want to see them what they do with beans, what they do with grain, what they do with veggies, everything.
What they do with dessert.
Yeah, dessert. So tell me, we are here today because we want to talk about this amazing thing that you're doing, Support and Feed. And why don't you tell us about your mission and how you thought of this at all?
Okay. Well, what happened was we were out on tour, Billie's tour, by the way, where we had the most amazing vegan catering from Eat Your Heart Out, unreal. And we were so sad not only to leave tour, but to leave that incredible catering. Um, and we came home, and after a few days, I was just thinking of all the sadnesses and the various sad things. And one of them was worrying about the local restaurants in LA, the vegan restaurants. And then I thought, gosh, and there's so many people who are hungry. What if we could order food from restaurants, from the vegan restaurants, and have it sent to places where it's needed? So I tried to do it myself, and I did it myself. I called up Sage and I ordered $200 worth of food, and I had it sent to the Midnight Mission. And, it was relatively successful, but I thought, gosh, there's a lot of challenges involved in that. What can they receive? What can the restaurants accommodate? How is it safe? What should I order? And I thought, there's got to be a better way that people could do this really simply. So the next morning I mentioned it to two people, Justin Lubleiter at Darkroom Records and Rose Forbes at Two Tree Events. And they were like, I'm going to help you with this. And Rose immediately called Conscious Cleanup, this other amazing organization. And we had Jeanette, who works at Nick's on Beverly. And all these people just jumped on board. And within like 5 days, we were up and running. And the way it works is you just go to our website. There's a list of all the restaurants. You just go to any one of them. There'll be an obvious way to donate money. And it goes to the restaurant who then makes food. And then we've organized it with Conscious Cleanup. They do our delivery and organizing the charities. And it goes to the charities, or the organizations goes to first responders, hospital workers, homeless shelters, women's shelters, LGBTQ shelters. Anywhere people need food, we're taking food there. And the restaurants are making it. And so the restaurants are being able to stay open. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, it's been very rewarding.
Good. Do you have any stats on like how many people you're able to feed at this point?
I do. Just in the last, we've been going for less than 2 weeks, and we've already delivered 1,550 meals, 625 donuts from Donut Friend, and 1,000 cans of water that were donated from Right Water. And I mean, I got to go on the delivers yesterday. It was so incredible. The food was beautiful. We went to 5 different restaurants for pickup, and then after we went to the yesterday, where did we go? Let's see. I have it down. Yesterday we went to the LAAC USC Hospital ICU department and Violence Intervention department, and we took like 325 meals there, and then we took another whole set of meals after that to a shelter.
So how are you sort of deciding where to go first with the food when you get enough funds from people donating and then you are ready to go out and deliver the food? How do you pick who's the most in need at this moment for food?
Well, that's all coordinated partly by Conscious Cleanup, which is helping us in LA. It's just, it's like it's a puzzle. That's why it's hard to do yourself. It really takes the help of doing this, because we know all the different places that have agreed that they need the food. So we have to find out like what kind of food can they receive at what time, in what form. And then we coordinate it with what restaurants are available. Because the thing is, the restaurants can only have, at this point, they can't have an endless supply of food available.
Yeah.
So they may only have 2 days worth of food at any given time, and they have to feed their regular customers. So we need a little bit of lead time, to say, okay, can you make 80 burritos next Monday? And then another place, can you make, 80 something? And we put them all together. So we're not overtaxing any one restaurant at one time.
That's great.
And then we're delivering to who can use what we have at that time.
Good. Okay, good. So my thing is going to make noise. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Technically challenged. I wanted to mention that while, there's so many people trying to feed people, and why I'm so grateful that you're doing it the way you're doing it is because, aside from this pandemic that we're having, COVID, our planet is in a state of climate emergency, right? And the United Nations says that we have roughly 10 years to irreversible damage.
Mhm.
Seeing the effects of this all the time already. And we know, what we know is that avoiding meat and dairy is the single biggest way to reduce your impact.
Yeah.
So I'm so jazzed that Support and Feed is using food that treads lightly on the earth, that is good for people. You're nourishing people with food that's going to make them healthier, especially when we want to protect ourselves right now with a virus. You want to have your immune system as strong as possible. This is food that supports that. Also, that 2 million people die a year from hunger because
Mm.
we take there's enough food on the planet to feed everyone, but we take the food out of those people's mouths, feed it to animals. It's such an inefficient use of resources. And then in turn, that limited amount of food that's made, the meat and dairy, is just making people have heart disease and cancer, then killing another 1.5 million a year. So we're killing a lot of people a year through this choice of food. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win for the hungry. It's a win for the people who are hungry all over the world, who can't eat because of the food distribution problem. But our climate, I'm just so grateful that you're doing it this way. I love when people feed the hungry with vegan food. Nothing makes me happier. It's just such a good combo.
And it's really amazing. We've gotten such an great response. Not only is the food incredible. I mean, I look at it, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is food from some of the greatest restaurants in Los Angeles, but they're so happy because, there's a lot of healthy eaters and vegans out there, and they're like, we don't usually get fed in these situations. So this is food that everyone can eat. And of course, everyone can eat plant-based food. It's not limited in any way. And I love the points you're making about the climate. A lot of what's happening is directly related to the climate crisis. People don't make those connections, but one of the things that we've been reading about is that, wild animals spread a lot of these pathogens, and wild animals are infiltrating cities more and more because we're destroying their habitat. So we're literally exposing people in cities who are already often have weakened immune systems from crowded conditions and air pollution. And then we're exposing them to these wild animal pathogens. So it's all part of the same problem. It is all part of climate change in many ways.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is.
not going away. If we, when we survive this epidemic, we
Yes.
still have the other one sitting right there, you know?
No.
It's
I wish we could just give everyone the magic understanding that their food choices affect everything, right? That not only will you be your happiest, healthiest, most vibrant self when you eat this way and be fending off so much illness, and protecting yourself and making your moods, like everyone's very scared right now. And another
yeah.
thing that eating this way really balances your mood, makes you calm, and makes you feel your best. But also so good for the climate, so good for the hungry that we talked about, so good for animals, the torture of animals. What's
Oh, yeah.
happening is
Well,
so
that's
outrageous.
that's so important, and especially in a time like this when there's so much suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terribly tragic time, and I think one of the things I love about being a vegan and a lifelong, almost lifelong vegetarian before that was, it's one thing you wake up in the morning and you go, it's one thing I'm not doing, at least, I'm at least not contributing to the cruelty of animals. And this horrible time to think that we could be adding to that cruelty. It's very comforting to at least not be part of that process.
Yes, for sure. That's what I remember when I first made the change. That was why I wanted to not be able to, I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and be able to say, like, I'm doing good and I'm contributing to the solution and not being a part of the problem. And we just know too much now
We
to know
do.
that we cannot continue this way. And it just hurts everyone. Everyone's so sick,
Mm.
and our earth is sick, and it's such a wake-up call, the crying out of the earth to say, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah. And also it's in all the things you can do in your life, it's really one of the easier things you can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not hard. And
Yeah, eat
especially
delicious food that makes you feel good.
delicious food. I mean, it's really, and I know people just have, you know, grown up eating a different way sometimes, but it doesn't, you know, it is possible to learn. And of course, YouTube is full of vegan cooking. There's so many
Yeah.
ways you can learn about it, but it's just something that's pretty straightforward that anyone can do, you
Yeah.
know, starting right now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we show on my Instagram, I'm always showing how Bear eats, how I feed my son, how we eat to stay healthy and feel good, and delicious treats too. What is
Yeah.
the food that you're making? I mean, that you're delivering when you said just to make everybody's mouths water? What is the food that people?
Oh my gosh. Well, yesterday there were so many, these big, beautifully wrapped burritos from Cena Vegan, and then a bunch from Sage, and then Hinterhof, which is this incredible place in Highland Park, which is a German beer garden that's vegan, and picking up these schnitzels, and there, I mean, everything, trays, the shelters take trays, so you know there were trays of food from Sage. You know, everything is packaged. I can't actually see it because for safety I can't see it, but just the packaging, I was like, I know what's in that because I know all these restaurants, you know, Crossroads, all
Pasta.
Crimsey's has like Crimsey's is Cajun food, you know, beignets, and by Chloe. I mean, it's all of our favorite
Yeah.
LA restaurants, you
Yeah.
know. And so we know what's in there. We're like, oh, I know what they're getting right now. I'm so happy for them.
So lucky. I want it
So,
all. um, what else was I going to ask you about?
oh, you know, one thing I wanted to say about that when we were talking about the environment, you know,
Mhm.
so many of uh, the the infections, the viruses people get are animal born. And some people say, yeah, but so many of them, why do we get sick from lettuce or why do we get sick from spinach? It's like, it's not the lettuce, it's not the spinach. It is the feces coming from the meat plants or farms running into the lettuce. So
Yeah.
it is still an animal related problem.
Yeah.
It's not natural in lettuce, you know.
Yeah, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, warns that 3 out of every 4 new or emerging infectious diseases in people come from animals. That includes viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites. They infect millions of US citizens every single year. And that's all
Wow.
from animal foods. You know, and in addition, the foodborne illness and environmental pollution, animal agriculture can also incite global pandemics like H1N1, which was initially called swine flu
Right.
because it was linked to a similar disease in pigs, but its connection to animal agriculture has been squashed. The animal agriculture business, they don't want you to know that their food is causing these problems. But I'm going to link at the end, I will link on Twitter to a bunch of I'll post on Twitter a bunch of articles from The Hill and all kinds of publications that really go into this, and you can read up on it more and understand more about it. But it's not just us making this up. This
No,
is
we're not making it up.
yeah.
I know I saw somebody once wrote on one of my posts. I was posting something about the climate impact we would have if miraculously everyone, you know, went vegan overnight or something. Of course, that's a hypothetical. It's not not gonna happen like that. But someone was like, "Oh, this is just all part of an agenda," and I was like, "Yeah, the agenda is to try to save the planet. You know, it is an agenda. We would like to survive."
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a really interesting thing, isn't it? It's so surreal, what's happening, but and it's maddening when you know that these things could be avoided, you know,
Yeah.
through better health and less the animal thing kills me of how they're all, you know, one animal in the food market. They say that the bats are fine if it's just that the bat then poops on the other creature, that little cute creature, is it a papadilla, or I don't know how you say
Yeah, I don't know what that is either
um,
yet.
and then they, you know, then but they're in these live markets and then they're eaten and then it all gets passed along and here we are. So it's really it's crazy. um, Also, you know, just almost 10 billion animals are exploited and slaughtered every year. 10
Wow.
billion.
Wow.
They live in short, devastating lives, overcrowded factory farms, breeding grounds for disease. If we change the agriculture systems, implementing governmental policies will take time. That's going to take time. But what we can do right now with our forks and our knives is make these choices 3 times a day, you know, to help the planet and our communities and ourselves. So it's a big win if you choose today to start eating more plant-based food. I like how people, you know how they have a meatless Monday. I like the idea of having meat Monday.
That's what I was thinking too. If you can't do it all the way, just have it
one day. Like, for God's sakes, be vegan every day, every meal. And if you really have to have your one time, that would be more balanced. But
exactly. Personally, I'm, you know, for me, it's a, you know, I'm pretty extreme about it, but I think I read someone, was it Steve Wynn from Las Vegas, a chef, who said, like, if you have to be, if you're like one of those people who say, I could be a vegan except I can't give up bacon. It's like, then don't give, then be a vegan who eats bacon. If that's the one thing, I would love it if you never ate bacon, but if that's what it takes, you know,
just eat less of it, right?
Yeah.
Like don't have it every day. Wait, try hard not to have it. Try hard to, as hard as you can not to have it. And then when you just can't wait anymore, have it, and then go back to trying again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And meanwhile,
thank you.
Meanwhile, get food from all these amazing restaurants, and you'll be converted. You'll be like, why would I ever need
for
anything
people
else?
who aren't in LA or in New York, because, you know, I know you're going to be launching in New York, but for people who aren't there and don't have access to these restaurants, you know, look up on happycow.com. You're just really close to you. There'll be some amazing place that you can date. You can try their food. And we're so lucky that we have Crossroads and Nick's on Beverly, although they're not open right now. But you know, there's so many great places to eat from. And I see people are saying in the comments that they don't cook. And I can suggest, I don't know what you offer, but I have a book called The Kind Diet. And if you can read, you can cook. All you have to do is follow the instructions. And there's such good food in there. And there's food in there that's good for just deliciousness, just yummy, yummy, delicious food to feed your family. But there's also food in there that will help you protect yourself and make you strong in this time. Immune boosting foods that will heal and nourish your organs so that you are operating at your strongest self, so you can fend off these illnesses. That's the idea, right?
I think Mary McCartney has a vegan cooking show on the Food Channel now.
She does?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Her mom's cookbook was one of my first vegetarian cookbooks when I was young. Linda McCartney's book.
Linda McCartney.
Yeah.
I was doing a movie one time called Love's Labor's Lost in England, and they fed me Linda McCartney packet because she had those frozen dishes.
Oh,
That's what they fed me every day, and they were so delicious.
Yeah. Oh, her Stella has an incredibly green company, of course, and Mary, they're all great advocates, and yeah, she's got a cooking show that's worth checking out. Yeah, if you can read, you can cook. If you can watch YouTube, you can cook. You know what I mean?
It's not that hard. And the great news is your body you'll lose weight. Your skin will become absolutely glowing. Yeah. You'll have tons of energy. You'll become more sensitive to all the important things in this life, like love and nature and your deepest, truest self. By eating this way, you become stronger. Your immune system will work more efficiently. Your body releases all those fats and toxins. You know, you really begin to heal yourself. It's a beautiful thing.
Can I tell you one story? My husband, suffered from a lifelong problem. It was a swallowing problem. He would choke on his food, like literally every day. It was a huge problem. And we were vegetarians at the time and I'd been a vegetarian almost my whole life, been a vegan now for decades. But at the time, he went to the doctor repeatedly, had his esophagus stretched. I mean, it was really intense. And then when he went vegan, he gave up dairy, of course. His problem, his lifelong torture was cured, completely cured. And at the time, the doctors kind of poo-pooed it. He was like, oh my God, I went vegan, I gave up dairy, and this problem went away. And the doctors were like, you know, kind of rolled their eyes. Well, lo and behold, within 2 years after that happened, the medical community discovered a syndrome called I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, eosinophilic esophagitis. It turns out your esophagus has its own cells that can be allergic to things, and dairy is one of the most common ones. So his lifelong issue, overnight gone.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
And I
amazing.
mean, there's other allergens too. You know, people might be allergic to nuts or soy or eggs, etc. But those that dairy apparently is like the most common one. So
Yeah.
it was
I
more.
have a similar experience, but a little bit, it wasn't as crippling as what you're describing with your husband, but I had allergy shots that I had to get twice a week, an asthma inhaler, and I had cystic acne on my face. And I would get bronchitis all the time and migraines, really bad migraines. And when I went vegan, it just all vanished. Suddenly,
Wow.
I didn't have any of those things. And I remember my allergist called me like a year in and said, "You haven't been in for your shots or your, any of the things, we haven't seen you. What the heck?" Oopsies. Sorry. I don't know what's happening. And I said, "I know." He said, "What did you do? What's different?" And I said, "I went vegan and I don't have any symptoms." And he said, "I have that. I've heard that a lot." And I was like, "Why don't you suggest that to people?" He was like, "Well, why do you think?" you know,
Put him
um,
out of business.
I mean, he was all just sort of inferred, but yeah, he was kind of joking. But I mean, it would be a good thing if they would tell you that. Why
Yeah.
did you become, you said you grew up vegan or vegetarian?
No, I actually, I interestingly, my father, I love my parents were wonderful. My father, though, I grew up in Colorado. My father hunted deer and fished, and I never, I wanted to be a vegetarian from the time I was a little kid, and so did my brothers. We just never disassociated because we could see it, like the deer in the,
Oh,
and so we never wanted to eat it, and so we all became vegetarian.
and how did
Which
your
was
parents handle that? Were they obviously weren't, right?
no, they weren't. And they weren't, my parents were really nice, but they were, back in my era, people were worried about you
Of
when you
course.
became a
Yeah.
vegetarian. Vegan didn't even exist. I never
Yeah.
even heard that word for
Yeah.
years. But, they were so worried, like you're gonna have vitamin deficiencies, whatever. So they were really worried. It took them a while, and then they had three vegetarian, children
That's
in their
amazing. All three of you did it.
yeah, all did. I think all of us when we turned 17, we were like, boom,
That's
gone.
so wonderful because you fell in love with the animals that you were seeing in front of you.
Yeah, we just couldn't do it. My parents used to joke in Colorado, like our kids are like the cheapest kids you could ever have. They won't eat steak. They won't eat this. They're really cheap to raise. And so then I was always a vegetarian, and then my husband became a vegetarian after we met,
Yeah.
fortunately. But you used to be kind of lonely to be a vegetarian, and
Yeah.
much less a vegan. I mean, for many years, like I love what you're doing because for so much of my life, I was apologizing for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, don't mind me, I'll just have the salad, or, I am a vegetarian, but don't make anything special for me. I spent so much of my life trying not to make anyone else uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, 10 years ago, I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing something that I believe so strongly with all my heart, and all I do is apologize for it?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to say what I think,
Good for you.
especially with the planet at stake,
Yes, there's
we
too
can't
much at
keep our mouth shut.
stake.
No.
Yeah, there's just too much at stake. It's not, I know people say it's a personal choice, and of course it is. We can't make anyone do anything. We shouldn't. But it isn't. It just like we're staying home right now,
Mm,
to protect everyone. We should all be making plant-based choices as much as possible to protect everyone, because with the environment in this, we're going to have such massive, we already experience the effects of climate change. We're going to feel it so intensely soon. And it's just, this is a choice that you make for people who are starving, animals being tortured, our climate, and also if for your own. I want my son to have his mom around as long as possible, and
for sure.
and be patient and vibrant. Like if I eat naughty food, and I don't eat non-vegan naughty food, but I mean like if I'm eating, I don't know what, if I have a bunch of bread and some sugar and then
Yeah.
and then the next day I'm not as patient with my son. I didn't sleep as well because I ate bad food, and now I'm tired, and his voice, I want him to stop speaking, and but if you sleep well because you ate well, suddenly you can be so present and connected and savor your little ones. So I think
Yeah.
for parenting, it's such a massive game changer how you
Mhm.
feed yourself. And
yeah, I don't think it's, I do see how it's a personal choice, but at the same time, I think it's our responsibility to our
Yeah.
community and to our planet.
Yeah.
Well,
And you're
so,
right to your family. Like my mother sadly died in her 50s from a heart attack.
yeah,
My father also later had a heart attack. And I feel that very intensely for my family. I feel like I really, and I have to work at it because I have genetically high cholesterol. So I have to be really stringent. I can't just be a vegan. I have to be a vegan who eats a really pristine diet,
you're a
because we
superhero.
we owe it to our children to try to stay alive for them.
Yeah. And so when you were when you were pregnant, do you only have Billy or do you have other kids?
No, Phineas, of course, Phineas, my son who
Yes.
writes. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
sorry, he works with Billy. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's
So,
okay.
so with and is he older than Billy?
Yeah, Phineas is 22. Yeah.
Oh. And were you vegan when you gave birth to them, or you were
I
still
was
vegetarian at that
I
time?
was vegetarian. I had been vegan at one point, and then I kind of slided when you had kids. Pizza was everywhere, and I was a big baker, so I was a vegetarian then. But it always just gnawed at me, like just I gotta. I know the animal world of dairy and eggs is quite cruel, and so it just took me a little time, and then finally I made the jump. I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and there's nothing stronger than a belief. I think if you eat plant-based diet primarily for health, it might be not as easy to do as if
Yeah,
you're like,
for
I
sure.
believe in this.
For sure.
It's easier.
I agree 1,000%. If you had told me when I was 20 years old and doing Batman and Robin and people were calling me fat girl, I think they were calling me, and you
Wow.
told me to be healthy, I would have been like, screw you. I have no interest in health. Like there was no part of me that could take that in,
Yeah.
but caring for the creatures and the suffering that I could take in and I could do it for them. And through that, I got this great karma. I used to think, is this just great karma, that I feel so good and it changed my health so drastically. I mean, I lost weight, my skin changed, everything got better. So, it's yeah, doing it just for health is great if you can. I mean, there's a million reasons to do it for your health, but it is harder to stick with it than if you really understand the suffering and what's going
Yeah.
on in the world and you want to make change. I think that's a little bit easier motivation for some of us. Certainly
Yeah.
me and you.
Definitely for me. Definitely
But
me.
so did your kids come out? Were you raising them vegetarian when you were, or
Yeah.
yeah.
My kids have never, Phineas and Billy have never eaten meat ever.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah. People were like, well, didn't you think it was unfair? Like, shouldn't they be allowed to make that? I was like, you know what? If if I could go back in time and never have eaten meat, I would feel better
Yes.
because I don't,
Oh, yes.
and I thought I'm going to give them that chance. They can have
Yes.
never eaten it. And
Yeah.
if they decide when they're older that they have a different philosophy, that will be up to them. But as
Yes.
long as it's my responsibility, I'm going to give them this base of they
Yes.
haven't ever eaten it.
Yes.
And then they came to it on their own, which was awesome. They both really came to it, you know. At first they're just like, oh, it's what my parents say. But then, of course, as you start to learn, you start to take it on yourself and own it. And they really have.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So good.
Your son is so beautiful.
I want to eat his face off.
So
Do you still want to just pound your babies? I'm sure you, I mean, even if is Billy 18?
she's 18, yeah.
So
Oh, she's scrumptious and she's sweet and funny. And yeah, yeah.
you just
She's,
want to kiss them nonstop, right?
yeah. And Billy loves to watch old movies and home movies. And she sucks me and she's like, Mom, come in. I'm like, I can't come in. I can't look. Because she knows if I look, I can't leave. And I just miss the little ones so
I
much.
know, right?
Yeah.
I know. I want another little one. They're so delicious. So
Yeah.
good. Okay, let me think if there's anything else I need to ask you here.
I think we're pretty good. It's so amazing to talk to you. And I so appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you spreading the word about support and feed, but just about vegan diet in general. It's amazing that you're so outspoken because a lot of people are very afraid to be as outspoken about things. And I really appreciate it so much.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate what you're doing. And
Thank
it's
you.
so beautiful that you raised two gorgeous babies that are veggie and vegan now, and that they care so much. And you told me what Billie's doing on her tours, and I just wanted to tell you,
Oh,
Billie,
yeah.
Billie, if you can hear me, that what you're doing on your tours is unbelievable. And honestly, I would hope that we have to do something to set a challenge to every other artist out there to do what you're doing. I mean, tell me about, you had these amazing statistics on how much you're saving.
Oh, yeah, shoot. I don't think I have those with me
That's
right
okay.
now. But yeah, we have amazing statistics. We on our tours, we have an organization called Reverb, and they come out on tour with them. They help us set it all up. And so we're trying to be zero carbon footprint. Some of that comes from doing carbon offsets, but we have things in place like we don't have any plastic water bottles in the venue. We have water refilling stations. Fans are all allowed to bring in their own water bottles. We encourage them to bring in their own reusable bags. We don't have any plastic bags for sale.
So
We have all recycling. We have people who see to it that's recycled. We have all vegan catering from the greatest company in the world. It's so delicious.
ugh,
And it's amazing. And the crew, everyone's just sitting around going like, oh my gosh, this is the best food I've ever had.
oh my
And
God.
it's unreal.
It's
And then
dream.
we have composting. We have all like on our buses, on our green rooms, we all have, big reusable water filling stations. We have all glass. We just making the tour as green as possible, and all of her video shoots and photo shoots the same. And I think more and more artists are going to start doing it because
Yeah,
touring is it's rough on the environment, because
it
you've got all
is.
those trucks traveling. So you
Yeah.
have to really make a conscious effort to try to make it greener.
Yeah, I mean, you guys could maybe. I want you guys to do like I'm imagining or fantasizing some kind of a challenge. Like every artist needs to do it this way. We're doing it. It's easy to do, and here's the statistics, and here's how you do it. Use this catering company. Use that. Like just give them all the resources.
I think there are people doing that. I mean, I got the information, to be honest, from Chris Martin of Coldplay, because
Oh yeah, because he does it too.
yeah, because somebody set me up on a call with him, and I was like, how do we do this? And he hooked me up to Reverb, and I know the Dave Matthews Band. A lot of people,
Oh,
and
good.
more and more will. And as the venues get used to it, that part of it's the venues and the arenas, having to understand, like this is what
Yeah.
people expect.
Yes, it's so good. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I guess I just want, is there any, how can all the people who are listening or engaged right now help us with support and feed? What can they do?
Well, I want to say, first of all, we are starting in New York.
Okay.
We don't have them on our website yet, but I think I think the restaurants, let's see, I wrote it down. We have Beyond Sushi, Marty's V Burger, and By Chloe in New York right now. And New York is really being hit hard, as everyone knows. So
What about Candle 79 and Candle Cafe?
they're gone.
No way.
Candle West is gone, and
What about Candle Cafe?
Candle Cafe, we tried and we couldn't reach them. So it's
I'm
Candle
gonna text
Cafe.
Joy right now. I'm friends with Joy. I'll text her.
Well, ask her because we tried to reach out to them. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, a lot of places are closing their doors, so that's the challenge. And New York is extra challenging with delivery, but we have it. We've got it in place. So By Chloe, Marty's V Burger, and Beyond Sushi, and we'll add more. If anyone out there is a vegan restaurant in New York, let us know. And
Maybe Hungawe.
oh, please let us know. Talk to them and tell them, because not every restaurant is capable of doing it right now.
I know.
It's pretty rough there. But we also we're finding a way to accept larger donations that we could then also contribute to places around the whole country. So check out our website, www.supportandfeed.com.
Yeah.
You'll see pictures of the deliveries. You can make a donation to any of those restaurants, really any of them.
Yeah.
And look on New York at those restaurants, and we'll be adding more, and hopefully we'll be adding some more LA ones. There's other people doing this around the world inspired by us, which I'm super happy about.
Good.
And we're going to try to feature them too, so that you could, give to those as well, or start something similar in your neighborhood and let us know, and we can give you some tips. But yeah, just go to the site, and it should be pretty self-explanatory. And look at the pictures. Look at the pictures of the deliveries. Unreal.
Yeah. Okay, good. So they can follow, support, and feed.
And we're on Instagram. We have a support and feed on Instagram, so you can check that out.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank
You're
you.
so beautiful. And
Oh,
I can't meet you in person one day.
oh, it's so nice to meet you. We were watching Emma the other day, and we just kept comparing. Billie was like, "Oh, I remember this in Clueless." New Emma. Everything was over. Oh yeah, I remember that's this person in Clueless. So
Oh,
I think we've seen that countless times, Clueless. So and everything else. So thank you.
thank you
You're
so
awesome.
much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well,
We'll eat together someday.
that would be lovely.
When the world opens up, we'll go to one of these beautiful restaurants and eat.
That sounds like so much fun. Everyone on here keeps saying Maggie for president, so I'm with
Oh,
that.
no. Alicia for president. Is it Alicia?
Alicia.
Alicia. Yeah, it's so pretty
Yep.
that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Now, how do I turn it off? This is going to be hilarious, me trying to turn this off. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming. That was so lovely. You can ask me questions if you want, and I can try to answer them. But there's so many people writing that I don't even know how to answer them right now. Let me see. Anyway, it was so fun. We can do this again if you write into the Kind Life, my website, or just message me or something, or maybe in comments, tell me what you want to talk about, and we can do more of these. My book is called The Kind Diet. That's what somebody's asking me right now. I can see some questions coming in. And The Kind Diet and The Kind Mama. And my son's name is Bear. And I'll try and save the live. Thank you for telling me. I didn't know you could do that. And that was really, really fun. And this was my first time, so I'm a virgin at this. And thank you for putting up with me. Okay. Bye. I'm going to say goodbye.